So we're going to tie on a teal throat. I suppose this holds true for most duck, waterfowl kind of throats. So you're usually tying with flank feathers, and by their nature there's a left and a right. So if we look at these feathers here, you can see that there's a predominance on this is the left side of this feather as I look at it, and on this other feather it's opposite. So if I was to choose this feather and try and wrap a throat on this fly, I would have to wrap essentially a left-handed manner, because this is the predominantly curved and the dominant side of this feather. And sometimes what I'll actually do is to wrap one of each, because, as I said, because it is so dominantly one-sided, you can get a sort of a curve to it and a predilection to go one way. So as I said, sometimes I will wrap two flank feathers on, one left, one right, to get a more even sort of a throat. So look at your feather. It also tends to have a pronounced curve within it. The ends of the fibres tend to be, or the ends of the feathers, the fibres here tend to be straighter and more easily controlled. And when you're getting up into this end of it, which is going to be the last portion that's wrapped on, as you wrap on it on as a hackle, these tend to have more pronounced throat curve in them. But that's useful because you can use that to gain a nice shape to your overall or your final throat. Generally we're wrapping it onto some sort of a supporting hackle. In this case it happens to have been a galena to go before it. So what I tend to do is that this feather is going to wrap in my normal right-handed direction. So what I'm going to do is say this is going to be the leading edge. So I'm going to strip off half of the feather on this other side, because I'm leaving the straighter fibres here, which are more controllable, double-sided. I'm going to double this little portion here, so there'll be a couple of wraps that are actually doubled, and the rest of it then will be single wrapped, but this is the more pronounced curved side. So I'm going to find the very tip of my feather here, and then I'm just going to fold the fibres over and double, and say, that front section of the feather. So as I have this prepared to wrap on, you see all the fibres are sort of pulled out perpendicular from the stalk, and I said this first portion of it here is doubled, and the second portion, which will be the final few wraps, is single-sided with the dominant side. So nip out my tip, and then I'm going to tie in on my side across the very tip of the stalk, and then fold it back. At this point we're also going to wax our thread so that we have a nice non-slip portion to wrap our hackle on. So we'll put on the hackle pliers now. And I'm just going to stroke my fibres into position as I go, and I'm just changing the direction of my stalk to get it to wrap on nice and flat. So you only got a couple of turns or so out of that, but the final, as I said, couple of turns were single-sided and more dominantly curved. So tie in across that. It should mean that our fibres are less inclined to stick out all over the place, because teal can do that. I'm just going to brush it out And I'm going for a fairly streamlined look to this fly. I'm going to tie it in a sort of a D style, so I'm getting those fibres underneath. So as you can see, they're more inclined to have behaved for me than if I just wrapped on a normal feather and doubled it, because as I say, when you try and double the full feather, then this portion here at the base will end up with one curve going one way and one the other way. So when you try and wrap it on, they sort of go through each other and you get bits that are sort of meshing and sticking out. So hopefully that helps with wrapping on waterfowl throats.